into it now. Is it,
Okay.
but you can share it. Was it after?
All right, and hello everyone, here we are. Thank you for joining us. This is really meant to be a super informational half-hour call just to give you the information about this upcoming business leadership program that we're going to be hosting at Lead 50/50. It is meant to be a group mentoring effort. So there's going to be a lot of you thinking about your own targets, your own goals, and actually maybe as we're here getting started, ask yourselves, why am I here? Sort of what is it that sounded appealing to me in the first place? Why would I want to join a business leadership program? What do I think maybe is missing in my leadership skills? Where are my gaps? Because that's going to be a huge part of this course. You're really going to be working on your own gaps and how you want to, sort of get beyond them and really reach that level of leadership that you want for yourself. So maybe that's a good place to start. The first question you might have is, who's going to be my mentor? Who's going to be the instructor on this course? So my lovely colleague who is here, Ella, is going to be one of the main instructors with myself on the course. I'll give you a little bit of her credentials. Ella is the owner of Hello Exmouth, which she's grown into one of the largest junior language school providers in the UK. And she's also one of the co-founders of Lead 50/50. In her previous life, she spent 10 years working for blue chip companies in the UK. In case you're wondering what blue chip means, if you're like me in North America, it's sort of like the Fortune 500. She now is also an accomplished coach who has coached many people to help them change their lives and achieve their goals. So she'll be really a perfect leader in this course.
Thank you, Nadine. That's very nice of you. So yes, I'd like to introduce Nadine. So Nadine has launched 2 successful businesses and is currently running 3 career colleges for ILSC Education Group, as well as their global pathway efforts. And in her career, Nadine has mentored and coached hundreds of people, positioning them into roles of leadership. So we've both got a lot of experience that we really want to share with you.
And I think one thing you might be curious about is, do we get any other voices in this course? And the answer is yes, there will be guest speakers coming in. There are certain things that we'll review, tools we'll want to share that others, other than the 2 of us, have experience in. And so it won't just be Ella and I as talking heads and you receiving our imperfect knowledge. It's going to be other people as well joining us. So I wanted to just share this quote. I find it incredibly powerful. I just recently read it. So a leader takes people where they want to go. And that's really great. It's not about a leader takes people where, where sort of the company or the vision, or I personally very selfishly want to take them. It really takes them where they want to go. But a great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. And if everyone can think about that, that can mean so many different things. That can mean that you see potential in someone on your team, for example, and you think they really should be at the next step in their career. They might be nervous about it, but how do you lead them there? It might also be that as an organization, your organization has certain needs, that it needs to be a certain place. And so how do you bring them there confidently? How do you allow your team or your people, as you being their leader, how do you bring them there in a way that they feel comfortable sitting in this new role and new place that they need to be? So I think that again, I think it's easy for us to think of leaders as coaches, as like sort of a team coach, bringing someone into a winning position on the field, but it's a lot more than that. It's transforming our people.
Right, so I'm going to just talk you through the program structure. It is a 6-month program, beginning on Tuesday, March the 30th. And we'll have the meetings. They're going to be 90 minutes long on Zoom, and it's one every 4 weeks. So the times are there: 7:30 a.m. on the West Coast, 10:30 a.m. on the East Coast, and 3:30 in the UK. And I think that gives everyone a lot of time in between to really practice what we've been talking about. So we have reflections, discussions, and homework in between each meeting, and we will be actually keeping in touch during that time. Nadine and I will be available 24/7 for you to contact us. Any kind of issues or support you need, feel free to contact us on the Facebook group, which we're going to set up, or you can email us directly and we'll get back to you. We really want to feel like we're helping you all and we're a big community, and an excellent way of doing that is through the Facebook group. And we're hoping that everyone will get involved and get on there and share information, and support each other. And that's when it really becomes a really valuable mentoring experience for everyone, because we can all learn from each other. And we've done this type of thing before with we did a Facebook chat, we did a challenge, and I know Mary did it. And I think one of the best things from that was actually the support on the Facebook group, wasn't it, Mary? It really helps to have that daily contact. And so if you've got any issues, you can go in there and have a chat. So it's a really great format, and I think it will really help. So who is the course for? It's designed for anyone who wants to power their career forward. So entrepreneurs, people who are running their own business like I was right at the beginning. This would have been absolutely invaluable for me, because I couldn't afford at the time either to pay for all this knowledge all the time. But this is a course that is included with your membership that would have been amazing. So I could have learned all these different things and had all this support of all these other women in the same boat as me, because being an entrepreneur actually can be very lonely. So those people, because that's from my heart, are the people who I can really see would benefit massively from this fantastic course. But also people working for other people, like managers, new directors and new managers, and leaders who often feel like imposters. I think, if I did a show of hands, who's ever felt like an imposter as a leader? Yes, it's exactly. And although that's a kind of ongoing battle that we all have with each other, with ourselves rather, I think when we get together, that can really helps to be in the presence of other people who feel the same, and professionals looking to move into a management role. So the audience is broad. We can really help a lot of people.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about what skills are we actually going to tackle in here. And again, maybe as we go through these, I'd love for you to identify where it is that you think you need some help. I know that in the different people that I've coached or mentored in the past, oftentimes it's really hard skills that they'll mention. They'll say, well, I'm always asked about like budget considerations. But I haven't, I don't even know what the budget is that I'm managing. How do I do that? How do I talk resources when I don't actually have numbers in front of me? So, that's just one of the many examples you might have, but think about what it is that you feel like, okay, I know this is being asked of me, and I want to deliver on it, but I'm not there yet. Or conversely, this is what really stimulates me. This is what really motivates me. And I just want to grow in this area. So think about that for a second, and then we'll go through the content and really concretely see if what we're talking about, be it soft skills, be it, hard skills, see if this addresses what you're looking for. This is a 6-month commitment, so we want to make sure that the course is really right for you. So obviously you're joining this course to increase your leadership skills, but what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean to be a leader? And I think that one thing I've learned personally in my life that there is, and I'm sure you'll relate to this, is that there's this concept of inspirational leader, and there's this concept of sort of doer manager. And I think that ultimately what we all need to be in order to inspire others is to be a very efficient doer that also inspires others. And so it's, you know, we all need to be that special unicorn. And so what does that even mean? And what do we need to learn, and how do we balance those two things? You may have all been incredibly inspired by someone who speaks eloquently and who has heart-to-heart conversations with you and that coaches you ahead, but ultimately maybe they were unable to, I don't know, you know, keep the compliance requirements of the organization up to snuff, for example, or, you know, sort of in terms of the details of the day-to-day business weren't moving things forward. You don't want to be that person, though you do want the inspirational side, right? And conversely, you may have worked with some people who really, like, you know, the expression sort of get shit done, right? Like they boom, 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 you know, step A, check mark, done, check B, check mark B, done. But how, but could they, or could you have used a little bit more emotional intelligence through getting all of those things? So ultimately, this first session is really going to be spent with you analyzing what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are in that kind of that spectrum, and everything in the middle, because being a good leader and a good manager also revolves around communications, around stakeholder management. What does that even mean? It means you don't just have to manage the people you supervise, you have to manage your colleagues who will work indirectly with the people you supervise. And probably most importantly, you have to manage up. How do you manage up? How do you get your ideas heard? How do you gain that seat at the table? After all, you are the expert doing the job you're doing. People need to hear you. So that's really what we're going to review in this first one. I think one big piece is also just risk assessment and getting in front of risk. That's a huge part of leadership. So that is session one. A lot there.
One that could be the whole session. Oh, and so it could be the whole 6 months. That couldn't it really?
Yeah, it really could. And actually, if anything rings true to you, you know, feel free to write into the chat box, put ideas. Even if as we're talking, you're thinking, you know what, yes, that's exactly what I want, but specifically on this point, whatever you put in the chat box, if you join the course, then we will make sure we touch on that specific question that you may have.
So the next session, the next month, will be human resources. I think absolutely key, managing performance and difficult situations. And again, a show of hands, who has had to have awkward conversations with people in their work? And oh, the cringe. Yeah, oh, Mary's got two. I mean, if you take away host families, I'd have to have like hundreds of hands. But how do we get to a place where we feel confident with that? Or, you know, when no one's going to love it, but not be, you know, having sleepless nights about it. And you can get to that, and having the right sentences, the right tools at your disposal on how to deal with it, even by, you know, lots of different systems that we can talk about in this session. And I think this is going to be a really valuable one. And also, we're going to talk about walking the talk. So the next month will be walking the talk. So this is the third month. Now this is executive presence, confidence, and public speaking. And again, this is talking about imposter syndrome, feeling confident standing up in a room full of your peers or full of your superiors, that you have to maintain your presence and feel confident that you've got the gravitas in that room and you deserve to be there. We're going to be talking about public speaking and also refining your skills and owning the room and the stage when you're there. So again, a hugely meaty session with lots of practical breakout rooms where you can talk about these issues with your peers in the session. It's going to be super valuable. So that's the third month. Nadine, you can talk about the next
one? I think I just want to add, I think, you know, what you said is exactly, you know, what we're going to review, but I think if I can invite everyone here to think about in this situation of public speaking, confidence is, you know, so there's one way to talk to our staff, but I think that oftentimes the challenges may be also in talking upwards. Again, I talked earlier about like managing up. So it's not even just talking about talking to our supervisor with whom we may have a fabulous relationship with, but what about our boss's boss? So think for a second about your boss's boss. Maybe if you're in a privately owned company, you may even have a board that you need to report to. So think about that board. And are you able to talk their talk? Are you able to speak to their concerns? And can you do it confidently? And that's what we're going to review in this session as well.
And there will be a lot of practical stuff. It's not just going to be us talking at you. There's going to be lots of, tips and skills and practice that you'll be able to do. So that's really valuable. And you can still do that in a Zoom format.
So this is one that I often hear when I talk to people, sort of, what do you want to learn to do? Oh, I want to learn to delegate. And really, what does that mean? It means I'm doing too much. I've got too much on my plate. So is it that you need to learn to delegate, or is it that you need to set boundaries? We also know at the same time, this is a tough one, right? Because we know, especially many of us may be women on this call, and maybe women joining the course, and we do encourage women to join this course because we may have challenges that are unique to our sort of feminine energy. And that is that we know we have to say yes in order to be noticed. We know that we may be ambitious people who like to take on more and more. And in fact, it is a good skill set to have an open mind and to take on responsibilities, because that will propel our careers forward. However, how do we do that? By still setting boundaries and setting boundaries at learning to delegate, which does help, definitely. So here's just an example of like one of the tools we would be sharing with you on the course. There's going to be tools at every step of the way, just little worksheets that become really concrete pieces of paper or computer files that you keep in your back pocket. And when you're in your real job, because this is all related to your actual career, you can use these tools. So we just wanted to share one example. We'll share another one later with you, but you'll see that along the 6 months, you'll really accumulate a whole bunch of little tips, tricks, tools, very concrete things that you will fill out and will keep you grounded and anchored in your actual vision.
Right, so sales and finance, this is absolutely key for anyone, not just the owners or the senior leaders, but everyone at every single level of the company should know about sales and finance. And I think especially the finance, it gets to a point where you get to a certain level and you don't know, and then you're almost too embarrassed to ask about what is a profit and loss, what's the profit and loss mean, what's this balance sheet, I don't quite understand the terminology. So this is going to be a really good either a refresher or just a basic skills about reading a set of accounts. We're going to be looking at that so you can feel a little bit more confident when you go into meetings. And if you do want to climb and become a leader, you do need to be comfortable with this language. And so this is really, really useful to have a refresher course on finance and accounting. The sales, I was just going to say about the sales piece is that's going to be really useful because people do not like doing sales and having the kind of cold call type thing, but you have to, you might not just be literally selling on the phone, but you might be having to sell something into a host family or sell something into a provider of yours. So you can use these techniques that we'll be talking about, and again practicing, as Nadine said. I'm absolutely keen to make it clear that it's not just going to be us talking. There's going to be some real hands-on experience here. And you'll be able to use that sales knowledge that we'll be talking about in every area of your career.
Yeah, okay. And I think you probably all know already that you are selling. So there's external stakeholders, the ones who will actually bring you a sale, sort of a very traditional sale, something that costs money and they will pay you for it for a service. But selling is also something you need as a leader internally. Like, how do you sell an idea to your stakeholders? So we'll be reviewing that part of sales as well. And that brings us really kind of nicely into politics, networks, setting your own path. So I think that, I'll just share a quick story here is that I think certainly for me, coming from an operations side of the business and not a networking and sales side of the business, I was never given the opportunity really to network because I wasn't going out to fairs. I wasn't meeting with other professionals and all of you wonderful people, at ISAFs or whatever events that were there, because I was sort of on my campus making sure everything was happening the way it should happen. And when I found out about Lead 5050, I got very involved and I went to ISAF at the awards ceremony. And that's when I started meeting all of you and felt like I never had understood the power of a network as I did when I found this group. Ultimately, what it taught me is that networking, creating true relationships, like true friendships, true professional relationships with people outside of your work or outside of your department within your organization is invaluable. One, it gives you confidence. Two, it gives you a board to bounce ideas off of. Three, it actually gives you a set of cheerleaders outside of your own work. You may be in a position of leadership. Sometimes that feels lonely, but you've got this group that you can talk through. And four, God forbid, we are in another pandemic at some point, and we need to maybe find a new job. That's where networks also come in really, really handy, and people know your value because they've met you in another setting. So we're going to talk about that a lot because it really cannot be underestimated as a skill for leaders. And that has to do with internal politics. We hate to say it, but there are politics, not necessarily negative politics, but how do you navigate just the hierarchies and the groups and the different personalities within your organization. And ultimately, really, the most important place here is like, do you even know where you want to go? Is that clear? Do you have that path set in your head from a career perspective? And if you want a promotion, why do you want a promotion? What's the motivation there? So we're going to use a tool. Some of you may have used this one. Again, we love it at Lead 5050. It's called the Wheel of Life. This wheel that you're seeing here as an example is one really about different areas of life. But in the case of this mentoring program, we would change those titles. Like instead of finances, health, family, and friends, we would ask you to think of the different aspects of your role and places where you'd want to evaluate where you currently stand and kind of what gaps you want to fill. So, these are some ideas of titles you would have on the edges of your wheel. So it could be, you want to really rectify your work-life balance, for example. You want to gain new responsibilities. You want to improve your relationship with supervisors. So these could be different things that you choose to value.
So that's it. So that's the 6-month program. They're the 6 titles we've got. And it's absolutely jam-packed with information for you and help. And it's going to be really valuable. I'm really excited to be part of it and to be delivering it and being able to help so many of you to feel more confident in your roles as a leader, because that's what Lead 5050 is all about. It's about helping women into positions of leadership. So there's nothing more valuable than doing just this straight leadership course so that you can all really benefit from it. And then when you're in your role, you feel confident to speak up when it's your turn because you've had all this support from us, hopefully, over the 6-month program. So please, if you want to join, register now. What you can do, if you're a member of Lead 5050, you go onto our website and click on the program list, and you just click on the business leadership program and put your and you can register because you will be already a member.
You need to log in. Just if you log in, it recognizes you automatically and it will give you the course for free. Yeah. If you are Sorry, just going to add, if you're part of an organization, so and it's your organization that's the leader, you'll have to put your your code. If you don't know your code, you can ask the person who's in charge of Lead 50/50 at your work, or it's the same code that you used when you registered your individual name and you got your login. So you'll need that to get it for free, but make sure you don't pay. If you are a member, make sure it is free for you.
Yeah, and the course itself is valued, the 6-month program is valued at £595, but you get it free with membership. So if you're a non-member, obviously the best thing to do is to sign up for the membership, the annual membership, which is £90 for a year. So for just £90, if you're an individual member, you can have this 6-month program, which is valued at £600. It's absolutely amazing value, and really excited. We've priced it at that. We've done it free for members because we want to help so many people. We really want to get as many women in the industry or outside of the industry on this course, and all the networking you're going to be doing as well, just from being part of this, is going to be amazing, because you're going to be meeting so many other people that from different schools or providers or even outside the industry. It's going to be fantastic. So yeah, if you're a non-member, sign up for membership or just sign up specifically for this course.